Our first film is The Last of the Mohicans, and this is a gorgeous film that evokes America's past, recognizes the violence and beauty of the Indian warrior, and is marred only by a conventional movie love story. The film is set in the 1750s in upstate New York as the French and the British employ various Indian tribes in their effort to dominate the American territories. The key players in the love story are Hawkeye, Daniel Day-Lewis, the Oscar winner for My Left Foot, as the English-speaking scout raised by Indians who helps the British and falls in love with Cora, Madeline Stowe, as the daughter of a British officer. On a trail, they're drawn to each other despite their differences that mark the British for Hawkeye as a breed apart.
Breed apart? We make no sense? You're right, Mr. Poe. We do not understand what is happening here.
Much better and truly magnificent is the character of Magua, played by Wes Studi. He's a Huron Indian war captain, and as he leads the British, he plots revenge for the way they have broken their word with the Indians and destroyed them. Back to the corny and the beautiful. In a lovely but overblown scene, Hawkeye takes leave of Cora, vowing as the vengeful Huron Indians approach that he will catch up with Cora sometime, somewhere.
Stay alive, no matter what occurs. I will find you.
Great Spirit and the maker of all life.
As the film concludes, we get a single scene that encapsulates the strength and the weakness of this movie. The couple in love stands together with an Indian warrior. He's played by Indian activist Russell Means, and we can't take our eyes off him.
Scalps are like coins!
He seems real. The lovers seem made up. But he lingers in our mind. I felt great sorrow looking at him, sad that his breed was wiped out. He isn't a movie Indian. He seems more real than the cuddly Indians of even a fine film like Dances with Wolves. He and the warrior Magua are part of our American heritage, and The Last of the Mohicans made me feel a real kinship with them, and on that basis, I recommend the film.
I liked the movie for some of the same reasons you did, and I disliked it for exactly the same reason, which is that corny love story. This movie is based on a 1936 movie, The Last of the Mohicans, with Randolph Scott, which was the first movie-going experience that director Michael Mann can remember, and I think that he remembered it all too well, because it's that Saturday matinee feeling that keeps undermining the real qualities of this film. And I do not agree with you that the Indians here are particularly more meaningful than the Indians in Dances with Wolves. I also don't feel that the decor and the set decorations and the way that the Indians are shown to live is nearly as authentic as in a movie from last year called Black Robe, which showed it as much grittier and down to earth and not so movie pretty as this film.
Well, I thought that the natural landscape, there's a gorgeous shot of a bridge that opens the film. I'm sure you remember that shot, and I thought, boy, this takes me instantly back to that time, which is not that long ago, really, in terms of world history, part of our country. And I did feel for the culture there. I felt that he was at least honest in terms of the violence. Sometimes that's kind of sugar-coated. That's what I meant by Dances with Wolves.
Now, see, when you talk about the violence here, it's more like conventional movie violence, where people jump out of the woods and shoot each other. If you remember Black Robe, which was not a movie that I particularly
I know, I liked
loved.
it. I'm surprised.
You liked it more than I did.
A lot more.
Remember, it was like, you know, hard instruments against flesh and bone. It was real violence rather than this more colorful.
You know, the scalping, Roger, is pretty rough in this picture, so I think that's an example of.
Well, in other words, I'm recommending it, but not necessarily at the high level of praise that you're giving it.
No, well, okay, I think actually we're pretty close. But we know the weakness, we know the strength.